These colors are just amazing, really, really beautiful. So at this moment, we're going to talk about a couple of finer points of making sure that you get the best results possible out of these silver sensitive colors. When I put my buffer layers in, when I added those layers of enamel of the different colors before I started with the purples, I put fairly substantial thicknesses of those colors on here. And still in this area, right along this edge here, not on the edge, but on the place where the dome breaks there, where the dome is the most severe. There were a few little spots where I was seeing some discoloration. Not bad, but just a little bit of brownness in those areas. And I can, even after the next layer, I can still see a little bit of the brownness. So you have to have a pretty substantial layer of your buffer color fired on there before you start adding this sensitive color. So the worry is with that, if you're firing a substantial amount of color onto that area, then in between your wires, if you fire this layer of color on and you fire it to maturity, then what's going to happen is it's going to have a tendency to creep up the wires like this, right there at the wire. So when you fire your buffer wires on, you want to fire them so that they are just barely mature. And so you may see a little bit of waviness in the stretch of glass that you see there, and you're not going to see that area that's sloping up the wire. And the reason that that's important is that you'll have a halo of that very light pastel color or flux at every wire if you're putting a heavy layer in there and then firing it long enough and hot enough for it to go up the wires. So I didn't switch to the 2-minute and 20-second firing until I was done putting on my buffer layers. So this is just another little fine point to help you succeed with these tricky colors. So, okay, and then as we're now that we've got 2 layers of these purples on here, what I'm doing is I'm inspecting this whole entire piece to see where these purples are the most perfect and wonderful that they can be. And the places that I like them the best are here and here and here. And interestingly enough, those particular cells were lined with the S-172B. And so, yeah, actually this one, I have the wrong numbers written in here. I'll fix this before we publish it. But these ones and the bottom part of this one have this 172B in them. And that is the color that I'm liking best as the buffer color underneath these. Now, There's some other things that I want to know about these particular colors, like if I mix them with reds and pinks, what happens to those colors then? So I had a look at my test plates, and I chose this sort of mid-range pink. This is a Nihon Shippo called 100B. And I chose a Hirosawa S-111, which is kind of a magenta. It is slightly reactive, but not terribly reactive. The 100B is very reactive. And so let me make one more point about this before we go on. Everybody's so concerned about protecting their silver wires from the silver reactive color. Well, I have silver wires in this whole section here, and I am not seeing any substantial reactivity. It's the reactivity is here where the buffer layer was too thin, and there's a huge expanse of the silver contacting the sensitive color. So I don't think that you're going to end up with an issue on these, on even a very sensitive color like this. You're not going to see much of an issue next to a wire, and this is a question that comes up pretty regularly. So this is an example of it. No, it's really pretty much okay. So this is why I included both silver and gold wires in this test piece. Okay, so in this piece, I don't think I'm going to bother to put anything else in the, well, I will. I'll go ahead and put more enamel even in these really muddy areas, because we might want to grind this to see what this looks like ground. So put those in there. And now I'm going to take some of this S-111, which looks white in the spoon. And I'm going to mix that with the H-28A about 50-50. Okay, and then I'm going to put that color in about half this cell. So basically by doing this, I'm just still on a fact-finding mission. I want to see what else I can do with this new color that we've never used before. I'm going to do the same thing with a little bit of the S-111 mixed together. With the H-28B. And I'm going to put that here. Okay, and then I'm going to use the color that was the buffer color on top. That was G110. I don't want to use G110. I'm going to use the 172B on top, on the top half of these cells. just to get them up to the okay. And then I'm going to take some 100B. This is the lighter pink, even though it looks darker. And an equal amount of the H-28A. And I'm going to put that there. And I'm going to do a similar thing using the 100B and the H-28B mixed together. And I'm going to put that up here. Okay, so these two spaces here that I'm just adding color to now were what I liked the best in the H-28. So I'm going to add some 100% H-28 to those two cells. And I'm going to add some 100% H-28 at the top here. And I'm going to take the S-172B, which was the buffer layer that I liked the best, and I'm going to add that to the top half of this cell because I want to see what a lighter version of these different colors are going to do. And in this top area, I'm going to use the 701, G701, because that was what we had as the buffer underneath all of this. So I just want to have a little bit of continuity here. Okay, and we're going to put some H-28B down in this area. This one doesn't have a mixture of any colors in it. And on this guy here, we're going to put the S-172B again. So almost everything has either the pink and red mixtures, the two purples that we've been testing, and the S-172B, which was the color that we liked the best as the buffer. So now we're going to fire this and see if we have anything unexpected happening to this. And then we'll be pretty much done with our testing of this color, and you'll have a little bit better idea of how to successfully use a color like this that's so incredibly sensitive. I mean, it's really an amazing color, but even I've been a little reluctant to use it because I didn't want to have any nasty surprises. So now, with this new information that we have, I think I'll be more likely to use it. Okay, I'm going to go fire this for 2 minutes and 20 seconds at 1400 degrees. I'll see you in a couple minutes. Meet you back right here. Okay, I think we found out a lot of what we wanted to know about these colors. They're not quite as tricky as I thought they were going to be, so that's a real bonus here. So the other thing that was a little bit of a surprise to me was that in this area here and here, I mixed the S-111, which was the darker of those two pink-red colors, and it's a nice addition on top of the other colors, but the 100B is the one that I put in on top of this area here, mixed together with the H-28A, and it's spectacular. It is really, really nice. So this is a combination that I definitely would want to make note of so that I can use it in my future pieces. So I'm still not seeing any discoloration up against these silver wires, which is really good news for all you silver wire kids. And the S-172B is nice and clear on top of those darker colors, which I'm really happy about, as is the G701. That's super clear also. The two areas here where the G110 was too thin continued to get muddier and muddier and muddier, and so that's something you need to, if these colors come out muddy for you, it's because you've got silver contacting them through molecules of the buffer. Your buffer's not heavy enough. So anyway, okay, this was a success, and I hope that you'll enjoy using these colors now that you have a little bit more information about them. Alrighty, bye.